But first, we're shining a spotlight on a subject that affects us all, but can be difficult to talk about, especially with children: grief.
Yes, so one school in Bristol is attempting to change that by encouraging its pupils to start the conversation in the classroom, as Kelsey Parker, widow of the Wanted's Tom Parker, has been finding out.
It's been more than 2 years since Tom died. He was just 33. He had an incurable form of brain cancer. Tom's death's not only been tough on me, it's been so hard for my 2 young children, Aurelia and Bodhi. We talk about Tom all the time. We keep the memory of their dad alive in our house. But the questions are getting harder. According to the Child Bereavement Network, it's estimated that one parent dies every 20 minutes in the UK, making 127 newly bereaved children every day. Death and bereavement are subjects that we don't really like to talk about. Often, we're worried about saying the wrong thing, so we say nothing. Now, some of the schools are changing that by talking about the subject of grief in the classroom, like this one in Hove. Louise and Annabelle from local charity Project Eileen devised the lessons for UK secondary schools. Are the children going to find this lesson upsetting?
The whole programme has been designed around a story to create that distance, so young people who have been bereaved don't feel that they have to involve their own personal experiences.
It's all about building resilience, giving young people the life skills, the tools to take forward, and we're doing it in a creative way.
Personal, social, health and economic education teacher Rachel takes the class here.
The thing with bereavement, it is hand on heart the only subject that I'm teaching where I can say to the students, you are all going to need this lesson because you're all going to be experiencing it.
I want to see for myself how the lessons are delivered.
So can I hear from you? Who has got a good reason for why they couldn't think of what to say?
They might have experienced something similar and they don't want to remind themselves of what they had gone through previously.
That's a really good point.
I'm worried that they'll say the wrong thing and maybe upset the person further.
Do you think it might be okay if that person cries, though?
Yeah.
Yeah, why? Why, Emily?
Because it's them, like, expressing their emotions and it's not healthy to not express your emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant ideas.
Time to find out what the pupils think of the class.
I feel like you guys are going to be well equipped through life now.
I went home and I asked my dad about his parents, which he lost young. It made me feel like I can be the one there for someone, or people can be there for me.
Do you feel like adults are protective over children about death and grief?
If you experience it when you're young, obviously it's going to be difficult, but it can make you tougher in the future. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How did you try and go about dealing with grief?
My grief will remain the same. My grief won't get any bigger, it won't get any smaller. I'm now learning to live with grief. I actually wanted to talk about Tom and celebrate Tom and share memories, but people would actually cross the street to not talk to me. People don't like talking about death. They felt that they were going to say the wrong thing, and that's why this lesson is so good. 40 schools have signed up to the project so far. Supporting it is the National Association of Funeral Directors, and its head, John Adams, feels that bereavement lessons should be part of the national curriculum and started a petition to do just that.
I meet a lot of adults who aren't sure how to communicate to people, even their friends, about bereavement and grief and loss. So we start in school, in the compulsory sessions. I'm really optimistic that society can get more compassionate and kinder. A Department for Education spokesperson told us it expects teachers to be aware of adverse childhood experiences, including bereavement, and understand when and how these may affect their pupils. They have provided training and support in how best to respond to bereavement throughout wellbeing schemes. It added that their updated relationship sex education curriculum would be published soon. But for the pupils in Hove, they seem to be benefiting from the lessons now. Based on my own experience, I know how important it is to talk about death and loss. And what these children are doing here today is absolutely amazing. Maybe it could be a valuable life lesson rather than a taboo subject.
Oh, thank you so much to Kelsey. She was so fantastic,
Amazing.
wasn't she,
She
with
was
the
brilliant.
students? And we recently heard that John, who we met there in the film, has had his petition granted and it will be debated in Parliament next month.
Yeah, very interesting.